300 this morning, TDRS picked up an automated navigation beacon broadcasting at 2-minute intervals in Neptune orbit.
This is incredible. It's the event horizon. She's come back.
The Event Horizon is the culmination of a secret government project to create a spacecraft capable of faster-than-light flight. The ship doesn't really go faster than light. What it does is it creates a dimensional gateway that allows it to jump instantaneously from one point of the universe to another light years away.
Where's she been for the last 7 years, Doctor?
That's what we're here to find out.
After 7 years in deep space.
There were 18 people on board this ship when it disappeared. I want them all accounted for.
Opening outer door.
It came back, abandoned.
Any crew?
Negative. This place is a tomb.
But it didn't come back alone.
Captain Miller! I've got some problems here!
This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows where it's been and what it's brought back with it.
Did you hear that? What is it? The ship is reacting to us and the reactions are getting stronger.
What are you telling me? That this ship is alive?
I have such wonderful things to show you.
Oh my God!
It knows my secrets. It knows my fears.
Vacate. I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you. God help us.
Hey, all right. Welcome back to Late to the Party. Tonight we have Event Horizon. If you are like us and late to the party on this one, I'm just going to give a quick recap. There is a spaceship called the Event Horizon. It's floating out there in Neptune. They say it's the biggest disaster in Earth's history. And I got to agree, this movie was terrible. So let's just get into it, guys. Did you guys think this was as bad as me? I know it's a cult classic. I know it flopped at the box office. Did anybody here like that? Did anybody like the film?
Let me go. I think that it reminded me of, I want to say, it's still on Jose. We're gonna have to do some editing on this. Do gallery. Yeah, I agree with you, Lego. This movie reminded me of, it was like Hellraiser Part 1 in space.
Yes.
It was like in my mind, it was a lot better than I had remembered. And it seemed like there was chunks of it and it was disjointed. And I fell asleep 4 times.
Yes, this movie was so boring. And I'm so glad you brought up that Hellraiser comparison, because that's exactly what it was. Like we're dropped in, he's having that hallucination out there, and that's a total Hellraiser moment where he's floating there all grotesque. And then, dude, the whole movie just felt like a ripoff of other things. Like, how closely can we make aliens, but like, you know, just different names? How closely can we have the shining blood come out of the, you know, the ship? Like, everything felt very much ripped off. So did anybody like it though?
It was like Hellraiser in space. That whole
which sounds awesome. It sounds awesome, but it
looked
wasn't.
like a torture chamber. Like the whole way the ship was designed was like a S&M ready to cut somebody up, suspend them from chains. It was so wild and stupid.
I felt like it wasn't bad enough to be like good, like a horror movie though, like a bad B movie, you know? Its production
like Phantasm 2 was?
Yes. See, Phantasm 2 was fun because it was like, okay, like we know it's bad, We know what we're getting into here. This one, it had like a budget of 60 million, and I think it only pulled about 26 million in box office. So
42.
this movie was 22, absolute flop. And like I can't disagree with that. Like those numbers make sense to me. Everything looked great. The practical effects in this movie, spot on. Very good looking movie. But damn, like they made a few crucial errors. I'm looking right now, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. Did anybody else fall asleep besides Nate and me?
I got up a couple of times to take care of the baby, but other than that, no.
All right, I guess we've ripped on it a little bit enough. What were some good things about this movie? I liked Laurence Fishburne.
Laurence Fishburne was good. Like the casting was good. I think the casting was solid in this movie. The effects were good. I think it was the first time you got to see some of that, like man, it seems like whenever I talk it superimposes Jose on there, so I'm gonna have to it's like it's begging for Jose. Whenever I think the first, when you saw like the globules, the liquid in space, like that was cool. I think that was the first time you got to see like they were able to pull off how liquid would look in space in an outer space movie, so that was cool. The gore was cool. You know, like I think the script was shit, the pacing was crap, but the casting I thought was solid. I didn't think anybody did a bad job in as far as the acting that they did. Maybe Baby Boy or Baby Bear or Baby Dude or whatever the fuck his name was, but
Baby Bear.
Baby Bear.
See, I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Did you? What was it that you enjoyed?
I'm a huge fan of Dead Space, the video game series. And so at first when I was watching it and the first run through it, I couldn't help but keep making the connections to Dead Space. The only difference is that in Dead Space, they're actually monsters, like creatures that it's humanoids that have been transformed by an artifact. This is like more of the mental aspect, and those elements exist in Dead Space. So I think it was because I kept making the connection to that I actually enjoyed it. And it's like you guys said, a lot of the gore and everything. I couldn't help but think, though, I'm like, man, this is a pretty cool 80s movie. But then when I saw that it was made in 97, I was like, oh, whoa, that's damn. I was like, all right, I can see where it has those bad, that negative effect. But I don't know. I think it's because I kept comparing it to something that I really like, that I was kind of like, all right, this is a redeemable movie. I think I might watch it again, but I think the second time I'd be a little bit more critical because it kind of, I got that taste now, and I hadn't seen this movie before. This is my first time watching it, so.
Wow. Okay. Scotts, you want to talk some reason into this cat?
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't find the movie nearly as distasteful as you all. Certainly not a great movie. And I definitely caught the Aliens vibe, or Alien vibe. I caught the Hellraiser vibe. I caught the 2001 vibe. This movie was like an amalgamation of all those things. But I think, given how poorly we thought Hellraiser was, this is the better option. The casting is better. The acting is solid. The effects are solid. The story is just kind of drags a little, and maybe you take some off of it for a lack of originality. But it's definitely, I mean, I would watch this movie 100 times before I watch Hellraiser again.
Yeah, I kind of, every time something like they were walking through the ship, I looked at Josh and said, I thought we were watching Event Horizon, not Alien. And then when he gets eviscerated and stuff, I looked at him and I said, I thought we were watching Event Horizon and not Hellraiser. And then when he see him with all of his little, he was Pinhead without the pins. I was like, what movie are we watching again?
Well,
because it just kept going back. But like for the star-studded cast that this had, Sam Neill, Laurence Fishburne, was it Jolie Richardson or something? And
yes.
Let's not forget my boy Jason Isaac, the guy who should be Black Adam.
That's right. I mean, but you know, when the thing was is that a lot of people, when they saw, they're like, huh? They didn't get it. Did it go to a different time or a different universe? Did it actually go to hell? And it shows certain things like in the movie, because I was asking Josh, I said, did all of the cast people, did they all have visions? Because I thought like the one doctor guy, was his name DJ or something?
DJ, yeah.
He didn't. He was the one that kind of got like, it looked like crucified, you know, because it was like, did they go to hell? And he was like the sacrificial like person. But then a couple of the other ones didn't have this, so it didn't make sense. And I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And I heard they're going to be doing a TV show though for Amazon Prime.
Of Event?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Like 2019, they started putting it into production. And then, you know.
That sounds awful.
And they're putting some of the same like production people back for it. And I was just like, well, but I mean, this movie, when I was doing a little digging, because it's been popping up in my feed lately on like Facebook about like underrated sci-fi horror movies or something like that. And this one's always in there. And where's it going with this?
You were researching.
Oh, researching. This movie got like super edited. Like this was supposed to be a longer movie. Apparently it got like way edited because Titanic like screwed them over or something. Titanic came out that same year. It was supposed to go into production or something like that. And the editors just went in there and just chopped the crap out of this movie to what we watched. I'm assuming it'd be interesting to see what they cut out and if it actually made it a better movie. You know,
but remember in your research, they actually, because the movie turned into such a cult classic, they wanted to do like a remastered director's cut, but they discovered that all of the cut footage had been lost or destroyed over the intervening years. So we're never going to know what the movie should have been.
Right.
Instead, we got what we got.
Right. I've heard that it was it delved much more into each of the crew members, you know, traumas and horrors and all that, and was a lot bloodier. But the initial test audiences and the studio that saw that cut hated it and hated all the gore. So who knows what could have been? It could have been good, or it could have been even more boring than it already was. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know what else there really is to say about it. I mean, it's a lot of tell not show, and a whole lot of good looking stuff with just a poor story. So I think we'll just kick it off into the buckets, unless anybody, well, why don't you guys just give your final thoughts with your buckets? Jose, you want to start us off?
Well, I was just saying, what do you guys think would have helped make this movie a little bit better? Do you think it was just the pacing, or what is it exactly?
Well, for me, I think it would have to be just a bit of a rewrite. I mean, we have all this religious imagery that gets no real payoff or really even correlates to the story. It seems purely aesthetic. And then I think there's, like I said, like a whole lot of like telling you what's happening, but not showing you. We see Sam Neill's character, he's like a loner, and then he goes and like, then he kind of, you know, is like cowardly, and then he's sinister, and then he's like a loner, and then he's like a full-blown demon, and there's really no connecting strands between the scenes. I think that just a full rewrite would have to be what happens.
I think that the what's not enough, meaning that we saw what happened, but per your example, Lego, of what happened with Sam Neill, why? Like, why does he cry with his hands over his eyes in one scene, and then he goes off and he becomes, you know, a knockoff Pinhead? Like, what happened? Like, why did he do that? What happened? Like, where was the leap? I don't think they did a good job making the leap for between, you know, him being a doctor who was concerned with his life's project, his life's work in creating that ship. Because up until that point, I really understood him as a character. I understood his motives and whatnot. Even though it was dragging a bit, I understood him and I understood his motives. But once that leap happened, like I don't know why. I don't know why. I needed a why. Why is a big deal?
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's kind of one thing that Alien has going for it too. Like, we have a corporation that wants its assets. You know, it's trying to bring these eggs back, trying to bring these xenomorphs back, and this movie didn't really have that. It was just like, they're on a mission to get the ship, we think, but we don't really, you know, like, it's kind of the why isn't explained. That's a really good point. Isaac, do you think what do you think would make this a better flick?
I don't know. I really don't know what would make this a good movie. It had its moments, like the gore and all that everybody's already touched on. It's just, like you said, it did drag a lot, and then a lot of those leaps and bounds that they did was not explained. And I don't know, they probably should have had a better editor, I guess. I don't know. It's a cult classic though. This was my first time watching it too, and it never really piqued my interest when I saw the trailers for it. It did give us that early Matrix feel with that music and that green tunnel underneath the ship, and then Morpheus, precursor from Morpheus, and his narrating.
Yeah.
Other than that, it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. I was let down for sure.
Yeah, for a cult classic, it's pretty weak. I think my gut tells me to rate this like a little bit higher than I think I want to. I'd probably give this one like honestly like a 3. I think just because it was boring, man. Like I just like it has no influence to speak of. It's pretty freaking bad. Like, it's slow. The only like redeeming stuff is the acting and the visual design of it all. So yeah, I think a 3 is more than fair.
You forgot about the boobies. There was boobies in there.
Just say, if nobody was gonna mention boobies,
that's an automatic 2. So
I mean, they made a snuff film before they died, man. Come on.
Right.
That's me.
But maybe it's just me, but I thought that was like so boring. I was already so bored. I didn't even care that all that like hell shit was going down. How do you make all those images like boring and unaffecting?
Yeah, and like they flash over. It's like, is that like some kind of a masochistic orgy or something? And it just, and it's gone. Like,
yeah.
Like,
well, and that's the thing, is that we don't really understand what's taking place beyond the gateway, what's taking place beyond the black hole. Like, why is this stuff going on? You know, your comments earlier about Sam Neill's character, like having this transition in his character, and then, you know, he's possessed of like super strength and all this kind of stuff, but he still seems to be himself. You know, he's clearly influenced but not possessed, but now he's like superhero powers. It's like we don't really understand what's going on. And they kept trying to insinuate that the ship is alive.
It's possessed.
Yeah, and
it's possessed.
It's reacting to them, but is it the ship or is it the gate? We don't understand the antagonist very well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then the whole ending, like I felt like, at least for me, the portal part, the little part of the ship, was probably what was most menacing, you know, like that's where the evil was coming from, through the portal thing. But they get away on the front of the ship, which is like severed, And then, you know, at the end of the movie, it like closes its door, hinting that it's, you know, the evil is still among them. So what, I guess that the little portal thing wasn't important to the evil. Like, what part of the ship exactly is the bad part? Is it all of it, or I don't know. I guess we got to watch Amazon's new series to find out.
I think that's what it was doing, though, was it was giving you that cliffhanger so there would be a sequel, but since it did so bad, they didn't get to make their sequel. Maybe that's probably what they were
It
doing.
was, let's put it this way, it was so bad it didn't even get a straight to video sequel. Like, they didn't right there lets you know just how bad it is, not getting a straight to video sequel.
He didn't even get the same respect as Tremors 2.
Right, even Tremors 2 got a straight to video sequel.
Multiple.
But I feel like this is one of those movies that's you see Hollywood and you see all of these production companies going back and remaking good movies and making them trash. I think this is the opposite. I think this is where they have a really solid concept. It's really there, and they're going back, and if they do it in a series, they have more time and a little bit more to explain what the heck is going on. So who knows, man? Maybe the series might be 100 times better than what we got from the movie. And I feel like those are the things that I remember a while ago we were having this discussion about, like, going back and remaking bad movies, like movies with good potential. And somebody asked, well, what's a good example of that? And I didn't have one at the time. And I think this is one of those. Like, I didn't hate this movie. I think this movie is underrated. I think, and I think it's because I was immediately able to make that connection to something else. And we've watched quite a few movies, so I think I'm getting into the feel, you know, like, oh, I hadn't seen that when I saw this one for the first time. I immediately made the connection, so I'm not gonna rate it that low. But if you ask me what's a movie that had solid potential and you think could be remade and made even better, this is gonna be one of those that I put on the top of the list.
Nice.
That's why I would give this one 7 buckets.
7 buckets.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's there. Potential's there. I liked it. Like I said, I genuinely did. It was just not perfect by any means, but it's also not as crappy as as my brother Lego's making it out to be. I'd give it another chance.
I'll certainly grant you that it has the potential to have 7 buckets.
All right, that's fair enough. Thank you.
Nice. Nate, what do you got for us on the buckets?
Let's see. We're already giving it 2. We're already giving it 2 for the movies. And then the effects were cool, so I would give it a 3 for the effects and then a 4 for the cast. It's going to 4. And it's like it's 4 on a curve because the boobies boosted it. Because if you take out the boobs, it's a 2, like Lego said. So, you know, it's floating. It's floating on those B cups.
Jesus. All right. Isaac.
I'm giving this a 2. 2 buckets. 1 for each boobie.
Nate, you got to add that to the list where it breaks down the buckets.
Yeah, you got to put the automated 2 for the boobies.
You have to, like, take it, like, from a story or script or acting or something like that, or influence to, like, bump it up. We're gonna have to go 0 to 11 now. Turn it up to 11 whenever there's boobies.
Extra credit.
There you go.
If there's a movie that's a 10 and it has boobies, boom! It breaks that mold of the bucket list, and it goes to 12.
That bucket is overflowing.
You got the bonus soda with that bucket of popcorn.
That's the butter. That's the butter on the
bottom of the popcorn.
The boobies are like a refill of your popcorn, like a free refill.
Right? Oh man, you look in the window and get an extra life.
So that's our unicorn then, a perfect 10 and boobies in 11. Will we ever find it? Who knows?
That's right. Okay, so I'm sharing. Let's see. You go first. Because you've got the list in front of you.
Yeah, so I was just kind of going over the list when we were getting ready to wrap up here, and I was anticipating actually rating this lower, but I think just off of the criteria that Nate gives, even though it's not strong in a lot of these categories, I tend to agree with Jose that there's something there that they weren't able to run with all the way. So I would give this movie 6 buckets, but I'm going to give it a +1 because my boy Jason Isaacs did it. So I'm going to agree with Jose. This is a 7.
Nico's dad.
Caveat. That's right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm just going to give it like an average score of 5. I mean, the cast did the best they did with the writing that was involved, and
they're the best part of the movie.
The special effects and just the setting of some of it was still creepy. I'm kind of glad that the gore wasn't there. I'm finding as I get older, I can't handle the gore anymore. I know. Baby Bear can't handle the gore.
Sure, Mama Bear.
Yeah. Josh is Papa Bear. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a 5 because it's one of those movies that when we said Event Horizon, I was like, oh, that was okay. I can. And then I was thinking about it, and then I was like, wait, that movie's kind of crappy, wasn't it? Like, I was thinking back on certain things. Wait a minute, that's Sam Neill as Pinhead. Wait a minute, there's this or that. Is it hell? Is it not? I don't know. And it just was one of those kind of like, meh. But yeah, I mean, it's a good 5. It's a good solid 5.
Does anyone remember the
on their
marketing?
TV. Huh?
Does anybody remember the marketing for this? I saw this in the theater. I saw this movie in the theater, and they didn't market it as like a horror or anything. They marketed it as a outer space movie. And
it was a sci-fi.
I think it was like it was kind of like a wannabe horror movie that happened to be in space, and it wasn't really a sci-fi. I mean, there was sci-fi aspects of it, but it was a lot more Hellraiser than it was, 2001, in my opinion. Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I remember the movie poster. I remember going into the theater and seeing the movie poster for it, and I was like, oh, cool, sci-fi movie. That's going to be great. I love sci-fi movies. But I remember seeing it. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I only saw it because it had Sam Neill in it. I was on a Sam Neill kick.
And I know that I saw it, but I really almost have no memory of the movie until I saw it earlier today. And like almost none of it rang familiar, which tells you something that it was that forgettable.
I remember the trailer, and I didn't care for it then. And I don't care. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, I think we're pretty much in agreement. It had the potential there, but it didn't quite capitalize. Maybe we'll talk some ish when the Amazon version comes out, if it ever does, and hopefully it doesn't. But I think until then, I've been Jason for Late to the Party, and we're out of here.
Pew, pew, pew.